All right, everyone's unmuted. 27 seconds. We're getting started. And there's the countdown. That's it. Well, hey, everyone. Time for Geocache Talk. Whether you're at work, in the car, wherever you are, we hope you enjoy the show. This show about the great sport of geocaching. If you're watching on YouTube Live, you can be part of the adventure tonight. Please join us in the chat room. Participate with others as they watch the show. The link to the chat room is on the Geocache Talk front page. If you go down below where the show is, you'll see a link to the chat room. If you're listening later, please give it a like and subscribe on your favorite podcasting app. You get all the weekly Geocache Talk goodness. Big thanks to the Trail Bugs for the music and our featured patrons, Master Sergeant USMC, Little Gears, Albedo 0.39, and he is in the chat room. I saw him. It's Only Barney, Purple Turtles 3, ACDC Family, None of It Tidy. We're going to mention None of It, I think, tonight, too. The area of Canada, None of It. Josh Boggs, he's there in the chat room as well. Carrot Killer, Korsgat, and our new patrons, Hoffer15, H2SG2, Bember, the Happy Hodag. I saw him there as well. Chat room. Tick Magnet, Sue's Mom, Canterlopes, GSMX2. I think he's with us tonight as well. BKQG Family. One day it'll slide right off the tongue. Dog Mom of 2, Trexer 0, and Hide Go Seek. If you'd like to become a patron, head on over to patreon.com/geocache talk for more details. Patrons get the new blackout coin. If I can show that tonight. Oh my gosh, I've got screens galore tonight. Screens everywhere. There it is.
There you go.
The new blackout coin.
Nice.
Back to the other screen. I'm gonna get used to these. I need to get another monitor or something. So,
you've got a new toy you're playing with.
I do.
Take your time.
I take my time. Other geocaching items during the year, as well as bonus content, invites to special events only for patrons. Support levels start at as little as Bison Tube level, which is $3 a month. Well, let me welcome first my co-host Jesse from. Where are you, Jesse?
I am technically on a lanai in Hawaii.
Woo-hoo.
That's the Hawaiian term for my balcony of my hotel room.
Perfect.
I'm learning all kinds of Hawaiian and butchering it horribly. So
well, hey, that's okay.
They don't expect much. It's okay.
Right. And also joining us tonight is Mr. Cash to the Line himself, Jeff May.
Hello.
Jeff's not at home either. Where are you, Jeff?
I am sharing an Airbnb house with all of Team Fart. We've got 5 of us renting this house for tonight up in the Bruce Peninsula of Ontario.
That's awesome. So the Bruce Zero is in the Bruce Peninsula tonight.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Let's jump right into show 155 for June 30th as we discuss Virtuals 2.0 and the news, of course. So let's talk about some news. Back up to that part of my screen. Okay.
And I can start.
Jesse,
may or may not have internet all night, right? So
yeah, we're going to start with you because we want to hear about the travelings of Jesse.
So I am drinking my fruity drink and enjoying Hawaii right now. This is our big family trip before the oldest, not British, goes off to college. So it's bittersweet. We're all having a lot of fun, but we all realize in about a week when we get back, the oldest is shipping out, moving off. She's ready. Everybody's ready except for me. You know, Daddy's a little hesitant, but I know she's gonna do great. But so we're here in Hawaii and we're enjoying it. And like we do when we go to a new place all the time, we set a general goal for geocaching, and we did that here too. We always go for a webcam if it's close by. If there's one we can get to, we go for the oldest, and then we try to hit one of each icon that we can get. And then if we have any extra time, we pick up challenges or anything special that locals tell us about when we're in town. And I'm happy to report that we were able to do that here. We got one of each type. We got the oldest, which was a nice hike. And we got to have our event. So we got to meet several people, locals and people actually traveling on vacation. So it was great. One of the people in attendance, Cash Lee, she even gave us a gift, which is chocolate covered macadamias. And we have been wearing those out. So that's been pretty fun.
Dude, those things are awesome, man.
They are.
My first trip to Hawaii, and Susan and I, we got some. We're like, yeah, we'll try these. It's like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. We gotta get more of these things. They're great.
So another night when we're not talking about virtuals, I'll talk about some frustrations that came up with webcams and all that other stuff. But we'll do a traveling show coming up soon. But
we'll do
one
that.
Thing one thing I will say that will come up again, and I could fill a whole show with it because I was fascinated. It's always neat when you find something new in the game. We've all been in it for a while.
Yeah.
And we were at this event, and one of the cashers there, Mental Bill, goes, he said, I'll drive you, and we'll go to get the oldest, and we'll hike. We've all found it, but we'll go with you, and we'll hike, with you again. They're really super friendly.
Right.
And he goes, but I want to make a stop on the way. I'm like, okay. He goes, we're going to go hunt for an archive cache.
You're like, I'm in.
Like, oh, okay. I've heard of this, people doing it, but I've never really done it before,
Right.
So I was already in. He goes, but I have to warn you, I have to get my power tools. So then obviously I was like, well, I'm in.
Really good now. That's awesome.
So he goes on to tell the story that this is a cache that's been missing since 2009. But it's rumored to still be out there, and it was down a hill, and it was a little bit harder to get to, and it's in a little bit dangerous area. There's a homeless encampment nearby and stuff.
Oh my!
So people haven't really gone to recover it.
Right.
Well, it was an ammo can, and this invasive species of tree on the island, it grows pretty quick, had grown around it. Wow. So it had grown around the ammo can, and where it was like, part of the tree.
Yeah.
So he had it reported to him of people that didn't want to mess with it as much that you're gonna have to take power tools to cut it out of this tree. And if it was a regular tree, he said he would have left it there because you don't damage the tree. This tree is not supposed to be here anyway. It's invasive.
Right.
So we all went down there. We had to go down this hill, and he was able to cut it out, get this ammo can out. It was still dry on the inside.
Wow. There's an ammo can for you.
The original log was still in there. Swag was still in there. It was rusty. It was great.
That's cool.
And it's been missing since 2009.
Wow.
So it was a lot of fun, and we talked about how to do this. Well, that's going to be one of my new missions is finding. And his kind of take on it was, I just want to get the litter out of the pretty air. If it's under a park bench, nobody cares. Somebody will get that.
Right.
If it's in the trees, in a natural area, you're getting trash. What?
I was just going to say, was the archive listing still locked, or could you log the find on it still?
It wasn't locked. So you could technically, you can always log it and say, hey, we removed this out and stuff like that. But it was a neat trip, and I want to look more into this. And because I know in some of our natural areas, people have just left them there that left the game. And that's really given geocaching a bad name if you leave trash out there, right? And people look at it and says geocache written on it, and it's left, and there's nobody to contact. So I think I'm going to get into that when I get back and check it out and see if I can go recover some of these old ones and get them out of the natural areas. So, but that was a lot of fun. So anyway, I got all the caches that I wanted to get while I was here, and all the icon types, the oldest, a couple extras just along the way. And there were some really neat ones. I hadn't even finished logging anything yet. Hopefully I don't forget them. And I'm pretty bad about that, but I've got them saved somewhere. So far, great trip. Got to have a lot of fun, and hopefully my internet will hold up for the rest of the show tonight.
So
I'm on like hotel Wi-Fi free internet, so this should be great.
You'll be fine, I'm sure.
yeah.
Owen from KC says, "Don't forget to mail yourself a coconut." Apparently, they'll mail them to the mail. They will. They'll mail them. They have a place that mails them. So
here's the problem with that. Like when you travel too, and again, we could do a travel show, but my daughter is highly allergic to coconuts.
Oh no! Well,
to Hawaii, and she's obviously brought her EpiPen with her and everything else.
Right.
And there's coconut everywhere. I mean, it's just literally falling out of the trees. I mean, it's everywhere, all over the place. She's all nervous all the time, and so far it's been good. She hasn't been accidentally dosed with anything, and all the restaurants are pretty conscientious about that around here because it's a touristy area, you know.
Sure.
So far so good. Fingers crossed.
Well, good. We'll get into virtuals here in a minute. I do want a couple things I do want to mention real quick because this time last week we had Brian Roth on, president of Geocaching, and he announced an event, and it was just published last Sunday. Within 24 hours, it went mega. In 24 hours, it went. So GC88 V6V is now Mingo Madness Mega. So the thing went mega already, and so we're pretty excited. Make your plans to attend and celebrate at the Oasis of the Plains, which I still laugh at that because they're definitely enjoying the fact that they're out in the middle of Western Kansas and they've planted some palm trees and they call themselves the Oasis on the Plains. So anyway, but keep up with that. Mingo2020.com if you want more information on that. So so let's jump right into Virtuals 2.0. First, the rules. We want to talk. And this is the thing. And I kidded the guys this week because I didn't get one, and you two clowns got one. Both of you clowns.
That's right. You didn't pay them enough.
Apparently not.
We bought them.
Right. But what's interesting is I did start this this particular podcast tonight, although we might trade off as time goes on. But since I do control the controls, I could just make it look like this all night.
There you go.
It's just me, folks. No, I'm kidding. All right, so let's get into the rules. We were talking about the rules a little bit before we started the show, and I find them kind of interesting. So we're talking about that, and then we want to get into some of the top five or some of the ones we came up with. I don't think there's probably more than five or for each of us. Or we got a smattering of virtuals we want to discuss. So some of the rules. So let me get down to my rules section here. Virtual caches must be placed in locations where geocaches are allowed to enter. Now, this is interesting because something that Jeff, you'd made a comment. I want to get into that too, but I think that you can place it somewhere where people have to buy a ticket.
Yeah, I'm curious about that though, because sometimes there's like national parks where you have to buy like your vehicle entrance or something, $5 or $10 or something.
Right.
I think that more applies to like privately owned locations where you're paying $30, $50 or more dollars. I'm curious about that myself. I'd really like to know how that gets interpreted. But
I think it's reasonable fee. That's probably what they'll say. That's the wording you'll see is reasonable fee.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, you don't want to place it somewhere. Obviously, you don't want to place it somewhere where people have to, can't get to it. Obviously, private property, or unless you have permission, or that kind of thing. Kind of like a standard geocache. So there's a note in there. It says, in some sensitive areas, the reviewer can ask for permission to ensure the land manager is aware of the virtual cache. So you just can't place it somewhere. And I've got a couple suggestions that I go ahead.
Now, see, they make a point of saying that because there's a bunch of new ones coming out. But isn't that really the rule for all geocaches? That
Sure.
a reviewer can ask you about permission if they thought it was a sensitive area?
Right.
So that's really no different than the other ones, even though they don't do it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
They could ask anytime they want, like, I'm not sure about this area. You need permission.
Right.
As opposed to like earth caches where you have to show for every earth cache, or at least in Ontario, you have to have explicit permission for every earth cache.
Oh, interesting.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless it's in a public area and you can easily show it's open to the public area.
Oh, okay. Makes
well,
sense.
there's the argument that no area is public area, right? Like it's publicly accessible by somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I
go ahead.
have one earth cache that's a 5 difficulty 1 terrain, and I tried to keep it like it's literally at a city park, and it's on the sidewalk. It's posted on the sidewalk, but I still had to get permission from the park, from the city, to put it there.
Right.
Like it's as public as it can get. It's a 1 terrain on a sidewalk. Like it's a 5 difficulty. There's a lot of work, but I still had to get permission. So
right.
It might be more regional in that aspect.
Right. I got
somebody in the chat room brought this up. They said there's a virtual in Disney World. That's an expensive virtual.
Yeah. Yeah. Direwolf 821 says no virtuals in Disney World then?
But there is actually one in Disney World.
There is, right.
There was anyway. I don't know if there still is, but
yeah. I don't know if that's considered reasonable anymore. I think back in the day it was, but yeah, he's right. That's there are three. Yeah. But again, right, is it really reasonable? I don't know if it's necessarily reasonable. So
well, you know what is reasonable? The fact that we have to realize we cannot get them all. It's just not going to happen.
Right. Although I want to go
cannot get them all.
We want to get those because Slinky Mom and I, we love going to Disney World even without kids. I know that's weird, but
sign my name to that virtual.
Yeah. Oh, right. I'll put your name on it. Yeah. Right. This one we kind of already knew. Virtual caches have no proximity restrictions, which I thought that was. It's good to know. A lot of people don't realize that you know. And if you see it on a map too, I think we've all seen this where we'll see like a traditional or something, and then you'll see right next to it it'll be a virtual. So, which is fine.
Right.
No proximity.
Even sometimes there could even be like a traditional and a multi posted right next to it, but the multi stage 1 is a virtual.
Yes.
It's not an actual physical object that the owner put there.
Yeah. Well, I've done that too. I have
it's within a multi, right?
Yeah.
You could do stages within a multi that are virtual and there's no proximity issues because there's nothing to have proximity to.
Right.
Unless you place something there. So I mean that makes sense. The proximity wouldn't apply to nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
There is no proximity, there's nothing there.
Yeah, that clause really only applies to the fact that something physical has been placed by the owner in the real world. Yeah. So virtual, I mean, unless there's density concerns, like how many are clumped together, otherwise there's really no reason to have a proximity on a virtual.
Right. And they don't. Virtual caches have no proximity. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The cacher must have visited the location and any additional waypoints in the previous 2 months. What do y'all think of that?
It's to stop somebody from just going, okay, I want to put one in North Korea.
Yeah.
No, really, I was there. No,
right.
You know,
right.
Which is also an area off limits.
Exactly.
Right? There's certain places you can't put them.
Yeah. I guess that kind of also makes sure that the owner knows what the area is like recently. Like a lot of stuff might have changed. I mean, you could also make the argument that they could just look it up or ask somebody. So I don't know. I guess it makes sure that people are active and tracking their own locations.
Yep. Scott was asking about are the newer old virtuals. I think, Scott, from what I could tell, the rules are the same to what you guys got, and you guys can speak to it because I didn't get the email. You guys got the email, but from what I can tell, the rules are the same rules I think that have been around since the beginning. They just sort of reiterated the rules to you guys.
Writing the rules again. I don't think they've really changed much.
I'm wondering if there might have been some change to the allowances for tasks.
Oh,
I'm not sure what the originals are, but otherwise, placement, I don't think there's any change.
Yeah.
I mean, the other virtuals that were out is before I was in geocaching. So I never saw the rules for placing the original ones because I wasn't in geocaching at that time.
Yeah. In fact, let me do that. It'll be easier now. Instead of putting in the, let me do a tab for that, and let me show that
Somebody's
screen.
probably got access to the Wayback Machine and to do a comparison of the old and the new.
There you go.
Yep. So I'm going to full screen a little bit. So, the top one in the show notes about right here, questions that can only be answered by visiting the location, tasks for the finder to fulfill the location. For example, find 5 statues on the buildings around you and post a picture of the tallest one with your log. Photos of the geocacher at the location are all acceptable. A face cannot be required for the photo. I think that's something, Jesse, you talked about before.
Yeah, we all understand why that is with today's security issues.
Right. Yeah. And then photos of a personal item at the location. Examples include a trackable or piece of paper with the geocacher's username. I think you said too, Jesse, that you had one where you did a virtual where
yesterday
they were. So tell people about what the requirements were for that one.
It was pretty interesting. I kind of liked it too. So it didn't have to be like your own geocoin or personal swag or whatever, but it was something to show a picture that you put something on the statue, right? Like we used Christie's sunglasses,
right,
and set it in a certain place. What they were doing was kind of protecting against the fact that you were there 4 months ago and took a family photo, and we're like, oh yeah, we were here today. You know, it's forget that snow on the ground. It really wasn't 4 months ago. I think that they wanted it to be an original picture, which I think that's a neat way to do it, right? Other than what are you gonna hold up like the newspaper or something? So it's kind of neat to have an original object like that, just to ensure it's not like a 10-year-old photo.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. All right, let's get into some suggestions. So now, Jesse, you haven't placed yours yet, right? You're still contemplating.
No, but my page is built. Actually, I'm not contemplating. Okay. My page is built. I'm not going to say a word about what it is tonight because I'm not giving somebody else the idea. But I was excited about it before we even got awarded one. I was like, please, I have a great idea. I hope I get one. And I got one. So I'm very excited about it. I'm not going to let it slip. So
that's okay.
I'm not going to let it slip.
Now, Jeff, you've actually placed yours, but have you checked today to see if it hasn't been reviewed and published yet? Or
it's not into publishing yet. I've been doing some other stuff over the weekend, so it's this close to being published.
So you're close. Okay.
Yeah.
So both you guys
same thing. I don't want to give it away, but I'm hoping that it'll be somewhat unique. I was kind of waffling about a few different places to put one, and then another local geocacher had an idea, and so he kind of shared that with me. So we're kind of working back and forth to get a decent idea. So hopefully it'll go through. A lot of these rules have come up in exchanges with the reviewers, so it's interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
You should always be pushing the limit and talking to your reviewer, right?
Yeah.
Why would you not be pushing the limit? If not, you're not doing something original enough. Just be nice when you do.
Right. There you go. Hey, I want to do this. No, you can't do that.
One of those right
thanks.
I'm in one of those right now, and our reviewer goes, "This is exciting. I've talked to all my other reviewer friends, and we want you to submit this. I'm going to reject it, and we're going to put it with you. We're going to go to an appeal so we can set a new rule." He goes, we want to find out what's going to happen with this.
Jesse's always the one that it reminds me of the person who's like, "Ooh, let's do that operation, but let's do it in the operation theater where everybody can watch to see let's see if we can actually pull the nail out of the guy's head, and let's get everybody to watch this, because Jesse's cache submissions are always the kind that go into the cache theater. Everybody wants to watch them be in the cache theater. So, all right,
we're not
let's
do out. Do the, come on.
Exactly. There you go. Perfect. All right. So let's go through. Let's go through a couple. I'm gonna go through a couple of Jeff's. And Jeff, as much as you can, my friend, if you can be a little louder, you're kind of a little low on volume down there.
I shall try.
So try your best, my friend. All right. Tell us about this one, because I'm lost. What is 127 hours somewhere in Blue John Canyon and you gave me this is in Utah somewhere. So tell us the story about this potential virtual.
127. You haven't heard of 127 hours?
No, I haven't. Oh,
It's a good book.
person? Is that the person who had to have they cut their arm off with a pocket knife?
Spoiler,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you want to place a virtual there?
I think it like it could be a
Oh.
filming location.
doesn't seem
but,
dangerous
the
at all.
actual-
Go ahead.
Yeah, like the place that it happened. It is there. I think they filmed on location where it happened.
My.
There were a couple other places that they had to, like another virtual that you might mention was the location that they filmed. Another place that where it happened, but in a different location anyway. But yeah, this one the Blue John Canyon. I'm not sure exactly where it happened along the canyon. I was looking it up, and the coordinates are for like the center of the Blue John Canyon. So somewhere along there is the actual slot canyon where he fell in and got his arm caught. I thought it'd be kind of an interesting virtual with maybe a high terrain or something. Be careful. But yeah.
Owen. Owen is as crazy as you people. Remove a limb for proof. Let's not do
But
that.
it's a good story of overcoming it.
Could be rated high enough for that.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. All right. I'll let you do. Okay, so all right, next one. You gotta explain this one. It can't be true. This is the largest largest island on a lake, on an island, on a lake, on an island.
Yeah, so Victoria Island in Nunavut is like a really, really large island.
Okay.
Inside there's a lake. Inside there's another island. Inside there is a little lake with a tiny little island right in the middle.
Oh my gosh, seriously. Wow, that's incredible.
And it's unnamed, so I think they only just called it like a sub island or whatever it is.
Right.
So it's an unnamed area of Nunavut. But I think that would be pretty sweet if somebody actually made it there and was able to log that virtual.
Oh, absolutely. That's a neat idea.
Because you have to make it there within 2 months. They have to have been there within 2 months. You got to remember that. So you actually have to go there.
Well, whoever's going to do it. This is suggestions for other people tonight. So
right, but you have a year to do it, so you can get there.
That's true. That's true. Yep. This one's interesting. Eagle Canyon Suspension Bridge. So tell us about this one.
So that one kind of falls under the issue we were talking about before, because it's another one of those seasonal areas. It's privately owned canyon. They've got a little trail system, and I think they've got some climbing, like some ropes courses and stuff. But you do have to pay to enter, and it's from basically spring to fall, so it's not open in the winter. And plus, it's like northern Ontario, so it's going to be really snowy and really wintry. But it's the longest suspension bridge, and if you look at the photos of it, it just looks phenomenal. Yeah. And to actually get a virtual from standing in the middle of the bridge, I think would be a really awesome virtual if it was allowable.
Right. That's cool. I like that idea. All right. Your next one here is peak at Mount Kristnartindar, Iceland.
Ironically, that's an Icelandic word, but it's pretty much phonetic. Kristnartindar. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that one again is not 2 months, but that was one of the caches that I went to when I visited Iceland at the top of a relatively decent, kind of a novice, lower level mountain, but still pretty extreme hike. And it's just, they have a radio station, I think it is at the top, with a little bit of a guest book, like a container with a thing. It was frozen when I got there. But just take a picture next to that relay station, that's what it was. That would be a great virtual because it's an awesome hike. It's really cool. You get up there, you can see it all the way flat, straight down to where you started, and you're just looking out onto the ocean. And then you've got all the other mountains all the way around you, and the glacier to one side, and the tallest waterfall in Iceland off to one side as well. It's just an awesome location, and I think that would be a great place for it.
That is cool. I like that. And then this one's kind of interesting. And this brings up a question I'm going to ask her in a minute, but tell us about the Imperial Lighthouse Series 5 off the shores of Ontario, Lake Huron, and Georgian Bay.
Yeah, so a long time ago, there was like when Ontario Huron was getting first populated, they built obviously lighthouses around the Bruce Peninsula which is next to the Georgian Bay to the north and Lake Huron to the west.
Right.
And so they've got these 5 imperial lighthouses, really old, and they're still, I think they're all active.
Okay.
4 of 5 are out on islands, and there's one that's still accessible, like right next to a road. So it's kind of a touristy kind of attraction.
Sure.
These ones, when the original geocaching challenges were out, I actually wanted to make a series of these to go and visit and take a picture of yourself with the lighthouse in the background.
Sure.
Which would obviously be a lot harder. It was kind of inspired because I had gone with a friend on a sailboat, gone around one of the islands on the Georgian Bay, and we visited the lighthouse, and it was back there. So I got a picture. It's like, it would be a cool idea.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be neat to have a virtual to visit those 5 lighthouses and get a picture. It'd be a 5 terrain because you'd have to use a boat. But,
sure.
Then the other nice thing I like about virtuals is that you can add a whole bunch of information, so it can be educational, informational, entertaining, all that kind of stuff, even though the task is relatively simple. So I thought that'd be a pretty cool educational one too.
Right. So what do you guys think of having additional rules?
Like ALRs
for
login requirements, or
different rules. What do you think of that idea? To have, like in this case, he wanted to do a series of 5 of them. What do you guys think of a virtual that's just? I mean, there are virtuals you literally. Well, there's one that Susan and I got in Houston. You literally don't have to stop. You just drive, and they go, when you get to the virtual, look to the right, and you can answer the question because it's right there. And so it's like, now that's a true drive-by virtual because there's nowhere to stop. There's a little lake to the side, and there's something in the middle of the lake, and that's the answer to the virtual. So that's about as simple as it comes. Now, then there's the extreme virtuals, and this is kind of, obviously this is in between, somewhere in the scale between all that. There's what Jeff's talking about, which is you can't just go to one of these. You got to go to all 5 of them to claim the virtual. So what do you guys think about that idea of having multiple, to making the virtual harder is what I'm trying to say.
So I mean, here's what I would say with that. Especially now, like in the past, it's different, right? Because they could do a lot of virtuals, whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, you're probably only going to get one. No matter how long you stay in geocaching, you may not get another one. This may be the only one you ever get. They may not keep doing this promotion, right? So do you want yours to be a drive-by? You may want to put a super easy one out there, but I like the idea of having more than one stop because it makes it neat. Of course, I like the extreme stuff anyway. Whether that's hike more than one mountain or whatever, not everybody has to do it. What I would say is a bad idea is doing something like on stage 2, go find my other cache. It's got a code in it.
Oh yeah, I don't think that would be.
Well, if that one goes away, then your virtual's gone.
Yeah.
Or maybe you could change it. They'd let you change it significantly. Who knows? But I wouldn't make it dependent on something that could go away like that.
Right.
They would probably let you change it, but you never know, right? So I would do something that's going to be pretty permanent or that could be adjusted. But, the highest quality you could possibly put out is what you should for. This is going to be your only one. You only get one. We've had that discussion before. If you only got 5 geocaches, people probably wouldn't be throwing pill bottles under bushes, right? They'd be putting out the best cache they could. So that situation, you might only get one. So make it as good as you possibly can.
Right. I like it. I like Ashton's suggestion. Someone can find the first ever lamppost that was built. You can have the first ever LPC. So, and that's kind of.
I'll take your multi-stage virtual, and I'll raise you 25 stages.
Oh no!
Oh,
seriously? No way.
There was one cache. There was one virtual, a new one that was published in Ottawa that got a whole lot of attention right away. It's a 25-stage virtual that takes you across the entire Kings Highway. I think it's Highway 17, from the west end of Ontario, all the way to the east end, just past Ottawa.
Sure.
And you have to visit, I think it was at least 20 stages of the 25 that are there, and take a picture at that location. And not many people have done it. It is a huge road trip. But there's your example of a multi-stage virtual.
Yeah. Right.
That is wild.
Well, and Owen from KC brings up a good thing. And Jesse, you could really speak to this, and being the challenge guru. But a lot of people like to find like fill a PhysiGrid with virtuals, and so sometimes you got to do a rare DT like a 4.5 1 or something. Some of them are 5-1 is not the most rare. 4.5
depends on what type you're talking about.
It does, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's some that are like the last one you were found, or well, not last one, but the last one to fill your PhysiGrid. And the same with a lot of people. The last one they find for a PhysiGrid is not necessarily 5.5. A lot of times it's the 1.5, 4.5, or some kind of crazy half number kind of thing.
Well, I'll tell you, the one that I'm working on is I am trying to aim it for one of the rare DTs. So when it's ready and if it goes the way that I'd like it to go, then I'll definitely be sharing, and hopefully it'll be viewed a bunch.
Good.
There you go. No, I love it. There's actually a challenge here not here because I'm not in Colorado, but
back home
in my home state of Colorado. That's a virtual matrix challenge. So that challenge was to find one of every one in Colorado that filled a different DT part of the matrix,
right?
But it wasn't complete.
Yeah.
But as long as people put them out and don't just fudge it for the matrix, I would be all over that, having a complete matrix. That would be something I'd travel the world for. That'd be great.
Yeah, and it is. There's no DT that doesn't exist anywhere in the world for virtuals, but there's a bunch of one-time DT virtuals.
Oh,
and a lot of them are not in North America.
Right. It'll take a little travel to get to them.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll get to a couple of different versions of them. This one kind of falls into your what you've been doing, Jeff. This one, Scarabray, it's a ruins, a Neolithic settlement in Scotland.
Yeah.
And someplace I'd love to go. I've been to Scotland, but I want to go to this location. This kind of fits a pattern, and we can't go through obviously every place tonight, but these are the kind of places that I think every one of them should have, in my opinion, everyone should have a virtual, because they're just cool places in the world that we should go to. You know, sort of 7 wonders of the world, although a lot of them are most of those are gone, but you know, pyramids are still around. But you get the idea. The idea is that there's these natural, or maybe not necessarily natural, but these historical or geological places. Jesse's shaking his head, but these are places that are worth visiting.
I'll tell you, Gary, right now, that I will totally be on board with that if I don't get this one, because Scarabray is one of my target locations that I'm going to visit when I go to Scotland.
Oh, sweet!
I really want to see that location.
I do too. Me too. But then on sort of the different end of the spectrum, you've got places like this. In Dragoon, Arizona, is the thing. What is the thing? So Susan and I, we actually moved to California for a little while. This is many years ago. And on I-10, as you're driving, and there's places like this, roadside attractions all over, probably the world, but in the U.S., and they get these giant billboards for the thing. What is, they go, come see the thing, and we're driving. And we see another one, and I turn to Susan, I go, the thing? And she's like, just keep driving. So we never stopped. We always drove by it.
You didn't stop for the thing?
No, we didn't stop for the thing.
No, that wouldn't happen.
No, you'd stop anyway, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I felt like I was going to be pretty disappointed with the thing, but anyway, we got a big kick out of it. But there's a lot of those that I think I would stop at. The largest ball of twine, or the there's some cool ones, and Joshua, geocaching vlogger, has done several vlogs. I don't know, Jeff, you probably did some vlogs from those crazy roadside attractions, or they're fun. I mean, they are.
It really depends on. I haven't been to many that have already been vlogged.
Right.
I think there's been a couple, but yeah, for the most part, I like to get out to more natural type of adventures.
I agree.
If they're really cool locations, like they're really fun or really attractive, then yeah.
Now this is different. This is one that I actually I'm surprised. I looked it up online and there isn't one there. If y'all have ever heard of House on the Rock, you can go to thehouseontherock.com. It's in Wisconsin, and it's a fascinating location to stop at. It's got that. It's got a what do they call it? It's like the virtual, or not virtual. It's the cliff where you can walk out on it, and it's clear, so you can look down. So it's kind of a if you're hopefully not afraid of heights, because you're out basically, and there's nothing below you except for the glass, and cement that's below. But they make it so that you can. It looks like you're floating in air. So, but it's a cool place. It's got a lot of cool little kitschy things that you can see there. And as far as I can tell, there's no virtual there. So I think there should be a virtual there. Here's another one that I found interesting. And Jesse says there's actually a possibility of this, but it's called Bishop Castle. It's in Rye, Colorado. You can check it out, bishopcastle.org. But basically, somebody built a castle, and it really looks cool. You can visit it. As far as I could tell, there's no virtual there. I tried to look up some of these best I could, and these don't have virtuals, and I think they probably should, because they're kind of cool spots to go to attraction wise. So, and got another one. This one is fascinating. Oh, by the way, there's a website called Atlas Obscura. If you're not familiar with it, Atlas Obscura. They also have Atlas Obscura gastronomy version, and that's where I got this one. This company's coming back. It's in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and it's a pie company. It's been out of business for a while, and they're actually bringing it back. But it's the Frisbee Pie Company, spelled differently than what Whammo came up with. It actually is spelled B-I-E, like it is correct. The Frisbee, by the way, is not spelled that way. It has E's instead of I-E. But that's where they got the idea for the Frisbee. And
Back to the Future.
Right, and there's no virtual there, but there should be, right? The Frisbee.
You would think so.
Right.
Yeah, take a Frisbee,
right,
take a
so
shot, picture yourself with it.
Absolutely. All right, then we have some general categories that we're going to discuss, and Jesse came up with some great discussion points. They're more general, but I like it because there's some different ideas in here. So
the reason for that is I started locating different ideas for virtuals, and my list got really long.
Right.
So I had to break them down into categories after that, because we wouldn't have I'd have to do my own show for it. And there's so many really, really good places out there for virtuals that there's no reason to do one like at your local park and say, this is my favorite tree. There's no reason for that.
Right.
There definitely is there's more neat places out there than there are virtuals that are handed out. So,
yeah. Scott brings up a good point. He says, would it be better to just put a traditional or something other than a virtual at these locations? And I'll let y'all comment.
So that depends.
Yeah, I think that can be good, but at the same time, I think there's a lot more people these days who aren't looking at descriptions. They're just seeing a cache and going and finding it. And the thing with the virtual is that there's a lot more opportunity to explain and to inform, because you've got to do that in order to know what the task is. Whereas the traditional, you could just look at the icon. Oh, I'm going to go there, find it, log it, and then pay no more attention to it. So
sure,
that would be a downfall. Right. But yeah, I think virtuals are better placed where a physical container wouldn't go or can't go.
Right. Jesse.
So, and I was kind of thinking about that with mine, but so luckily when I was flying through on the way here, we had a layover in San Francisco.
Right.
So we got to go watch the Rockies play in San Francisco. And there was a virtual right there at the stadium, which is great. But there's not one at every stadium. And that got me thinking, why would you not have a virtual at every major league stadium for baseball, for football, for things like that, where security is super tight, and you would not want to put a traditional there because it's going to look like a
Mhm.
bomb or whatever else. But a virtual, where you go and you take a picture in front of the, whatever their sign is right there.
Right.
And tons of people go to these events. Now, baseball here or this week in London. Baseball was in London this week.
It's true. Yeah, it was. It was.
A soccer stadium or whatever the major sport is. Now, not Little Billy's, little league baseball game at the park. Where he hit his first home run. Don't do it there.
No.
But a major league, like state sponsored or national level baseball team,
right.
or sports team. That's a great place for it because you can go to an event that's not geocaching related, and you can still get a virtual without having a pen, signing a log, looking suspicious. Everybody's taking pictures there and reading signs. So that's a normal place to have them. And I think that there was too many. Obviously, I wasn't going to list out all those, right?
Sure. No, you're
look
fine.
it up really quickly and see which ones have virtuals, which ones don't. Your favorite team, right? But that's tons of those out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see someone arguing that there's waymarking for that because there's so many stadiums that is it really that unique, or could we just make it a waymarking category and you can get it that way?
Yeah, I would respond to that by saying who waymarks.
There are people that waymark, Jesse. Come on
there
now.
There are, but more people find virtuals than do waymarks. I'm just going to throw that out there.
That's true.
I'm not doing a waymark, so I am going to do a virtual. So, for a city, that's a pretty unique item in that city. Are there multiple ones? Yeah, of course there are. But there's also multiple caches everywhere. So that's a pretty big place for people to go and do things like that. And not where I wouldn't want a traditional at like Coors Field where the Rockies play because it could look suspicious.
Right.
So you got to think of security nowadays.
I was just thinking maybe you could do like one of those multi-stage virtuals and make it so that like an epic one where you've got to visit, I don't know, maybe all the stadiums where somebody has won the sport finals or something.
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh.
Yeah. There's like a theme to it, and you've got to visit all of those stadiums around the United States.
So somebody then has to go visit all those in 2 months.
2 months.
Good luck with that.
Oh, that's true to be able to publish it.
2 months. So good luck with that one.
Yeah.
But I would love that. That would be great. I don't know if they would even approve that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Craig brings
but anyway, so those are places that you go that it's probably better to have a virtual than a traditional, whatever that major sport is, because security is so tight nowadays, right?
Right.
And you can still geocache while you're there because you can't stick anything under an LPC when they're scanning with bomb dogs and everything else. You don't want to be that guy. So
exactly.
The second one I thought about was the same type of thing, right? Like memorials. So I'm right here by Pearl Harbor. Right. There's a new virtual that just came out here. It's a great one. It's made by one of the locals who was at the event, and they wanted to have one there so you could do and take your pictures and not be sneaking around under bushes and stuff like that, and still be respectful for what you're actually there for.
Right.
So I started looking at that category, and there's just so many. There's just so many memorials and museums for fallen officers or first responders or whatever.
Right.
Do what?
There probably is already a waymarking category for those.
There probably is. But we're talking about geocaching. No, I'm just kidding. There's a waymarking category for everything. Oh, yeah. So there's 5 at one statue in my city. Yeah. Right. 5 waymarks at the same statue. So there's that.
What I might suggest then is if somebody does memorials, then they're everywhere. There's tons of them. I might suggest like finding ones that are important to you, like relevant in some way. Instead of just like, there's a memorial, let's put a virtual there. Be like, this is why this one. Well, I mean, you can't have an agenda, but you can explain why this one is important to you or something, why it's relevant.
Absolutely, significant historical event, and I think HQ has done a great job of only giving us one, so it stops that waymarking thing where you can do unlimited out there.
Yeah,
I would assume if somebody only gets one, they're not just going to slap it at the closest memorial. They're going to do something that means something to them. So hopefully, with some common sense, you'd put something that matters. But and then the other one was, and Gary kind of touched on this too, the roadside attractions.
Roadside.
I started looking at these, and oh my gosh, I'm one of those people that has to pull off at every one of those.
There are a billion of those, but they're fun.
And when I'm driving, generally for virtuals or caches on Cachely, I'm looking through.
Sure.
And that's how I found so many of these, like Cadillac Ranch and things like that. Actually, pulled up one that I'll put in the notes on Thrill List.
Mm-hmm.
And some people hate these things, but I find them fascinating. And I've had people tell me that's dumb. I wouldn't stop for that. But things like the world's largest brick. Come on, that's fun. I'm pulling right off the interstate for that. So the list that I found a great list, and it's one for every state.
Oh,
it's in the
cool.
United States. So international listeners are going to pull up a different list, but world's largest Santa.
Right.
And the thing was on that list. There were some other ones that were great, though. There was another castle in Colorado. Apparently, we like castles in Colorado.
Apparently
I don't know.
Yeah. They're neat. They're
world's largest chicken. That's interesting. I don't know why, but anything that says world's largest, like ball of twine, there's even I found a Jimmy Carter peanut statue in Georgia. Like, who comes up with that kind of stuff?
Perfect.
But it's like this huge statue with a big smile on it, and it's a peanut. It's hilarious.
You could just go through like the Guinness World Records book and look for the largest anything, and then see if there's a
largest. Yeah.
See, but there's these weird things. So there's one here that I wasn't able to find. I was really hoping for this show that I was going to be able to find it before the show started.
Right.
It's Hawaii's on that list, and it's the world's most scenic urinal.
Oh, and you didn't find it?
Like, I'm there. If I can get there, I'm going to go. But I hadn't been able to find out where it actually is. So it's not in the area where I am. So I can't hop islands while I'm here.
Chat will get on that.
Yeah, that's right. But there's it's just stuff like that to me is hilarious. And if you can't take somebody to the top of a mountain, take them somewhere where it's going to make them laugh.
Right.
And like that's how I found Mingo. I've said it many times before. It was like world's largest groundhog. I'd even I'm immediately jumping off the interstate. Now that one was kind of a scam, but whatever.
Right.
I was still interested. I had to go see it. Like three-headed goat. Well, I'm pulling off. There's no doubt. I'm pulling off the interstate.
Exactly.
But things like that, those are great when you're driving down the interstate. If you're doing a long road trip, it's fun to be able to stop, get out, stretch your legs, and see the world's largest peanut. I mean, some of that stuff is funny. So that category, I started Googling it, and there's tons of lists. And most of the ones, 99% of the ones that I looked up, and I searched the whole area on Google Maps and then went over to geocaching.com, they didn't have virtuals in most of these.
Right.
Oh, my gosh. Cool. If I had one of those close like that, I would definitely be doing it. Now, my next one is kind of controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Oh, hang on. Let me get there.
I know you're shocked for that. Yeah.
That one?
Airports. Yeah. So, I wish there was a virtual in every airport where you didn't have to leave security, because I've almost missed planes. I've done all kinds of stuff when I'm flying through an area and you have a layover of like 30 minutes and you're like, no, Christy, I swear I can run outside and get it in time.
Right.
It's like, no, you can't.
No, you can't.
One of those. You can't get out there. And if you're one of those people that's searching for favorite points for your cache, you want something that people really like.
Yeah.
There's an Earth cache. Earth cache. Let me repeat that. An Earth cache in DIA that's almost become one of the most favorited caches in the whole state, because so many people come through DIA and they're like, a cache in the airport, because you can't get out of there in time. It's huge.
Yeah.
They get a cache in the airport, never have to leave security, and people are very grateful for that. So, it takes special permission to get those, but you can do it. They have them in some of them. I wish there was one in every single airport. So as you're flying through, woohoo, I got another state, I got another country, and I couldn't leave. Some people may not like that, right? But I'd be happy I'd be very grateful. These are the same people that say they won't get an LPC, and yes, they will. So
yeah.
I feel like that might take a little bit of convincing HQ, because they might feel like we don't want people to place caches just because. And it's like, if you just want to have one in an airport, that's not going to be a good enough reason. Like, they might want to make sure that, okay, why are you putting it in this airport? Is there something special you can draw attention to? That sort of thing.
So, and I would say that is true, except they don't stop power trails. So those are just because 100%.
Yeah.
What's unique about this area? Well, there's 999 other caches on this road, so that's what's unique about it.
Exactly.
No, I would hope, again, like with any of these suggestions, that people would do something unique and make it still good, even though the location is they're doing it for a certain reason. Like, people can get to it, but still make something unique. Almost every, I know DIA. If you research your own airport in your own area, DIA has a huge controversial history, and there's like a whole story about Freemasons hiding tunnels under there, and it's a big controversy. And every airport has some story to it, right? I mean, I would assume there's some story, or has murals about the city where you can get information. They almost all have some kind of display in there that's actually interesting related to that area. So,
yeah,
you know,
DIA, by the way, for people they're playing along at home, is Denver International Airport. For those that don't know, but I know what you meant.
That counts.
And that's Denver, Colorado, for all of our international people listening. That we're talking.
You can't let the Earth Cache win. Come on, guys. We need a virtual there. We can't let the Earth Cache be the most favorited cache in Colorado. That just makes me cry.
Should be a Where I Go. Really, we need to all come there and do a Where I Go.
It really should be.
Scott mentions about.
Should all be though.
Yeah, he's got one LAX, ORD for people that are playing along at home. Also, that's Chicago. Midway Airport and the Earth Cache in Denver, O'Hare. Sherry also mentioned that there's a virtual at O'Hare, and it's inside security, so you can get it. So that's very cool. Josh,
we're talking about major airports, right? So like international, not like the crop dusting airport behind the farmers thing.
Right.
I would probably pick bigger airports, but that's a personal choice, I guess.
It's an interesting question that Josh brings up: is which U.S. state or Canadian province has the most virtuals?
Well, you know what? Let's throw that to the chat room because I know we have a lot of pro Project GC users in there that can find that out real quick.
Yeah, well, Carrot Killer could probably help us. Adam found there's over 350 in Texas, so that's quite a few.
That's barely more than one per county.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Derek brings up the DC probably has the most virtuals. As far as per land space, he's absolutely correct because you can't put any there really. So there's going to be a lot of virtuals.
By land space, Ontario was definitely down on the list.
Well, yeah.
Oh, good thing. Oh, that'd be cool to get every virtual in Texas, and you can make a challenge, right, Jesse? You got to be able to.
You could.
Maybe because you got to.
Maybe many states have them, but you got to show that it's reasonable, attainable, and that people would be interested in it, right? So you got to show that 5 or 10 people in your area have already done it. So not just one person has. Multiple people have to have already done it.
Well, we'll try to do it. Slinky Mama loves virtuals, so maybe we'll try to get it. Once we finish all the counties, we'll go around and get all the virtuals. And so Lady Black Cat and Carrot Killer will help you guys out. We'll be your test. You can use us as your test case. Say, well, they did it, so and we did it.
Yeah, and with challenges, one of the things you can do is if you're like this close to finding enough people who qualify, you could, if you've done enough research, you could go to those people and say, hey, can you go in and find these caches? And then once you've got enough, now you can publish the challenge.
That's right.
Right.
So my last category is less of a category, more of a challenge, I guess.
Okay.
You have a year. Go to a country that does not have one.
Oh,
anywhere near a country that does not have one, or an area that does not have maybe even a cache.
Mm-hmm.
Jump over the border, because there are countries out there that just don't have caches in them. That are not like North Korea, where you're not allowed to come in.
Right.
But there are some countries, definitely in Africa. We have people from all over the world, so that's why I wanted to add this one in there.
Sure.
If you have an area or a whole region that has no caches, maybe that virtual will get people started in the area. Right. So you might be able to spread and start really a trend in a whole county, state, region, or country.
Right.
If you can get there legally. So do not sneak across any borders. Do not break any international laws and get Gary and I subpoenaed. We do not want to go to Interpol court.
No.
Don't do any of that, because if so, blame it on Gary. But
love that. Right.
Think of a new area and really research it. The data's out there, right? The statistics are out there. There are places that have virtually no caches or no caches at all.
Virtually.
And really explore brand new areas. There's, spread geocaching everywhere you can. I know that was one of HQ's big goals with this when we talked with them.
Right.
Was they want to spread these out more. They didn't want them all to go to the U.S. They wanted to spread them out. Yeah. And not all to Germany. They want to spread them out across the world. So if you're one of those travelers, which there's a lot of those out there that people just crazy traveling, go out there and do it. Put it out there. Try to explore a new space. You've got 12 months. Make that big goal and your big contribution to geocaching in your career.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I think you mentioned too before. That's good to know. Is the time? So you've got a year. Whatever you do, you got it. I mean, if you have one, you don't put one out, I may come egg your house because the rest of us who really wanted one didn't get one.
Yeah.
And other people who got one are like, whatever. I don't want to deal with it.
I think they did a much better job this time of getting them distributed because people had to opt in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to ask for one.
Right.
Yeah, more people who got them will actually publish them and make use of them.
I agree. I think so. And then a lot of people like me who opted in who still didn't get one. Oh. 81, by the way, in case you're wondering, in California. So.
Oh my gosh.
California is the place to be, Scott. That's pretty cool, man.
So probably don't put any new ones in California. Go somewhere else.
Go somewhere else. Scott's like, no, we can make it to 600. Come on.
Oh my gosh.
Just need 19 more of them. I'm just thinking tonight we brought up a few specifics and we brought up a few general areas. I'm kind of on the fence as far as how much you want to turn it into some sort of big challenge to find the virtual. I know that some people love that idea of, let me do a 5-5, and make that virtual take me 3 hours to get. You might, I mean, to each his own.
But spread it out, right? Spread it out. Don't do all 5-5s. That would be terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's nice to have
4,000 of them.
It's nice to have some that are just like selfie shots, but at the same time, there's so many of those. Like, if you place one, can you think of something to do, something just a little bit different, unique, or specific to that location that's not just, here I am at the location, boom, done.
Right. I like the idea of a little puzzly, make it a little puzzly, if I can use that term, because I think that's fun when you make it something kind of neat. Like you said, make it some kind of, and I like the idea of the hidden in plain sight where you have to answer questions based on where you're standing at a virtual, and it's like, well, did you know that it's kind of like the hidden Mickeys at Disney World? Sort of that idea. I mean, you have to do a lot of research to find something like that, but maybe you could find something about a certain statue, for example. And you're like, did you know that if you look carefully, there's something special about the horse, and he's wearing a hat. Oh, I never saw that he's wearing a hat. It doesn't look like he's wearing a hat. Something that maybe could be kind of fun and something that would kind of fit. It would be kind of like you said. You want it to be unique. Take time. Go ahead.
Sorry, a variation on the photo task that has gone around in my discussion with the reviewers is that you can do something like a photo specific to the location, even though it's not a selfie. You can say you have to take a picture doing this here, or like something in your hand, like a bird on your hand at a certain time, or something like that. But it still has to be something specific to that location. So it has to be evidence that you can only do that here, but it doesn't have to be a selfie.
Right. Jerry brings up the thing, and this is kind of what we're talking about, is that he finds easier virtuals while he's on vacation because his family always on the go and like to try.
Absolutely.
To tie in some geocaching. So there's got to be some easy ones and hopefully some hard ones. I wish there were just more in general because there's just a lot of cool places. A lot of places don't have them.
There are, but you know what? I actually heartily agree with what headquarters is doing with this this
agree.
Group of them, limiting them to. Again, we've talked about it before. The reason why virtuals are so neat is because there's so few of them. They're not making any more. They're only making a limited amount of them, right?
Yeah.
If if you could do as many virtuals as you want,
Yeah, that wouldn't be
it
good.
would be littered with them. It'd be a different game. It'd be terrible. Nobody would want to. Some
It'd
people,
be, it'd be waymarking.
yeah, it'd be
Exactly.
waymarking.
And then
And
who
I
else
don't
would do
bag on
that?
waymarking because some people like waymarking, right? But
No, they
I like
do.
buying a physical cache, and there's no virtuals don't technically do anything super unique that you couldn't do with other cache types.
True. I agree.
Especially where I go. But
Mm-hmm.
what they do is people typically, because they're so rare now, people hopefully will be putting some higher quality ones out there. So that's a neat thing. But if they just said, the next promotion we're gonna give 500,000 of them out there, well, I'd be done hunting them. Totally done. I'd be like, those are not special. That's a whole different game that you scan things with phones, and that's not my thing.
Yeah.
So
we're kind of starting to get to the end of the show, so I want to ask you guys, especially since you're part of the group, the chosen few. Why do you think Geocaching HQ came out with virtuals? Well, virtual 1.0, the new virtuals 1.0 now and 2.0. Why do you think they even bothered with it?
I've got two theories.
Okay.
One is I remember hearing some podcast talking about history caches.
I wonder who brought that up.
Throw that one to the side. Now, in seriousness, I think geocaching for HQ, Groundspeak, whatever you want to call them, for a long time has wanted to find a way to bring virtuals back. If you talk to anybody from headquarters or any of the people kind of in the know, they've always wanted to find a way to do it, but they wanted to prevent something like waymarking where you could just flood an area and get 100 and never leave home, and you could just, there's no way to regulate it. So, and they have trouble, and they've said it before, because reviewers are volunteers. They want to put caches out, but they have trouble going, that's not special enough for a virtual.
Sure.
That's hard for anybody to say. I know that your grandmother, lived there and born there, whatever else, but that's not special to anybody else. Nobody wants to say that. But so this is a good way for them to do it. Get virtuals back out, limit it to where you only get one. So if you want to do something dumb, you have that option, but you're probably going to want to do something good. So I think this is a good compromise without them. They don't want to have to be the bad guy, and that's not fair for them to have to be the bad guy, right? So I think this is a great way that they did it, and I think they've been wanting to do it for a long time, and this is their answer to that.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's very good. And that's Scott brought up, is that the community wanted him, and HQ is starting to listen to the community, and that's very true.
Agreed. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, it must have been really tough to come up with a way to actually reintroduce the virtuals, because everybody was talking about different ideas, like entire categories. This is what a virtual should be, or we want this type of experience, this type of cache. So just saying, let's just bring back the old virtuals again, just on a very limited amount, and see how that goes. I think that was a good idea.
Yeah, no, I agree.
This makes them special, right? I mean, the people that got them are very excited about them. Mm-hmm. They had to apply for them. Imagine if you had to apply for every cache that you put out.
Right.
Instead of just being able to put out hundreds and hundreds, unlimited amounts of caches. If
you
had to apply for everyone and get in a lottery and cross your fingers and hope you got one and think about it ahead of time.
Yep.
Every cache you put out would be spectacular.
It would. You're right.
Way for them to do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't hoped for a cache so much since I started geocaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. There still are people, though, who've got the virtual tubes who really haven't put a lot of effort into them. And you can compare some of the really cool, really popular ones to some of the just local ones that people have put out just to fill up within their hometown that aren't really super attractive.
Well, yeah. But you're right, Jeff. I mean, but they're going to have that. I mean,
yeah,
I think, to be honest with you, I think they really were thinking they would get more the first time around. I mean, they gave out 4,000. And we kept a watch on it. Remember, Jesse? We watched it, and they never got past 2,000, right? So 50% of them went in the trash bin because
2,000. That's low. That's really low.
Really low. I don't think they made it to 2,000. Remember, I think they got to about 1,800 or something like that. Remember that?
But you know what? And they admit that they didn't get them to who they wanted to get them to.
Right, they did.
They tried something. They had an algorithm, and I know for a fact that sock puppet accounts got them, and all kinds of people that were not currently active got them, but they didn't really have a way of picking those out. I think this was a great answer to that. You had to apply for them, and
absolutely. And Brian brought that up last week. He mentioned that And I don't fault them for that, because we've talked about before, if they're willing to try something, we're on board because they're willing to try something. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's kind of like our show. If we try something and it doesn't make it, hey, we at least tried
That's right. That's the
to do
philosophy
something
of the
different.
show, 100%.
Right. The GT stash was I think we both have agreed it had mixed success. It was successful, to an extent, but I think everybody who we talked to said we applaud the fact that you did something unique, and so I think you're going to see more of that from Geocache Talk. We've got a couple of new things on the horizon. We've got a really big one. Well, I can't talk about.
Gosh.
I can't talk about it. Yeah, just like so. I've told people within the network, and I was like, but you can't tell anybody yet. And I actually hinted at it with patrons, and I said, I can't tell you anything because Jesse and I haven't signed the dotted line yet, but we have a huge mega thing coming out, and not about mega as an event.
No, it's not mega. That's not a hint.
It's not. No, it's not a hint. It's just gigantic.
I can give a hint without saying anything.
Okay,
If
go
you
ahead.
could imagine what I would possibly want headquarters to let us do, if you know me at all, this is it.
And
I mean, if you've been watching the shows and you know my personality at all, I could not believe when Gary gave me the phone call. I was doing backflips, not literally. Because that would be ugly.
But virtually.
Oh my gosh, I could not believe it. This thing is great.
It is. I was, pinched myself. Is this serious? Are we seriously going to be able to do this? And talking to HQ about it, and they're like, "Yeah, let's get it worked out." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah." Can we? After the call, I was like, I called Jesse. I was like, "You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe what this is going to happen." And he's like, "No way, no way." So, anyway, we're excited.
Oh my gosh, yes,
we're very excited.
We can't say anything about it.
No, and then we have something else planned for a little bit later in the fall. We haven't worked out. We've kind of put that on the back burner for the moment, but we do have plans. We've already discussed plans for something else big this year. I don't know, but that one's kind of on hold for the moment because this came along. So anyway, no, Owen, much bigger, my friend, much bigger. He brought up a Memphis Earth Gas Trail. So yeah. Yeah,
that's not even funny. How do we block that guy?
Yeah. So
now,
Geo Dandrews.
Somebody else at Goes 2.0. That would also be exciting, but this is even bigger than that.
Even bigger than that. Bigger than that.
Which says a lot, right? Because I mean, this says a lot. Being bigger than Where It Goes 2.0, but it is bigger than that.
Yeah, pretty crazy. So, all right, let's wrap up the show. Let's get some final thoughts. Jeff, I'm going to let you go first and tell us about Virtuals 2.0.
That's a very wide subject.
It is.
I love the idea, and I really want to get this virtual. The idea that I have for mine, I just think to tweak it so that it's like something that is more widely appealing, I guess you could say. Because if it's a rare DT, those are not within the 3 and under type of range. So either the D or the T is going to be really high, and so that is naturally going to be kind of exclusive to people who are going to want to do it. So hopefully it will be something that is doable and fun and educational and enlightening. There's some good things coming down the line, hopefully, so that'll work out well. And it'll be something that is near large amounts of geocachers, so hopefully more people will kind of as groups come and do it together as well. But that's all kind of tips and stuff. But I want to see more virtuals out. I just want to see more uniqueness in them. Because the 1-1 virtuals are so common, they're everywhere. And on one hand, yes, they can take you to a place that you haven't been before, and you can learn about it if you want to. But on the other hand, it's just all you have to do is just go there and take a picture, and you're done. And so I personally, like you said, pushing the line a bit. I like
Little
that
bit.
kind of aspect of placing caches. Like you're just
Sure.
doing something a little bit differently.
I agree. Jesse, and that's something we could talk about too on another show is how to do virtuals that Scott can then take a drink of his full glass of beer that he's waiting to drink. So
That's for another show.
that is for another show.
So I think we
Is
really
that-
just scratched the surface.
So Jesse, is that considered a chug if we both say it at the same time? Is that like?
I think so. That's two at one time.
I don't
If we
know.
both say that's for another show. That's got to be.
Like you really kind of
Yeah.
you're like going after it. Then you're like a kid in a college with the beer where you put the hole in it and pop it off.
Shotgun it.
Shotgun it. All right, go ahead. We got off track.
So I think this, and we talked about a lot of this before the show when we were getting this ready. And there's so much to these virtuals because they're important. They're not important just because they're another cache type or they're rare or anything else. It's because headquarters is moving forward with things. They really, and this was talked about a lot in the chat room, they really are listening to people. They're listening to people. They're doing a great job. And I don't necessarily want to say recently, but it seems like recently they've really been listening more and able to capitalize on what people are wanting more.
Yeah.
And again, that's for another show. That is a potential another show right there because there has been some big changes in, I think, from my perception and how headquarters have been able to reach out to the individual cacher and really respond to what they want.
Right.
And we've also talked about general places these can be. And I think we could still like memorials. We could do a whole show on that. Again, that's for another show. We could do a whole show on the proper placement of things at sacred areas like around churches and
absolutely. I agree.
Graveyards and memorials where you should have respect for people. Like don't put something at a first responders memorial and say, I want you to stand on your head or moon the camera in your picture.
Right. Absolutely.
What you're doing.
Yeah.
You can do those, right? Show respect for the area you're taking people to.
Right.
And then, the Matrix, I think, yes, it would be awesome to have 2 or 3 rotations of the Matrix or loops of the Matrix where you can get them with virtuals in one country or across the world. However, we're definitely not advocating falsifying, DT to get it done.
Right.
Don't do a selfie picture in front of a statue and call it a 4.5, 3.5.
No.
That doesn't
Absolutely
benefit anybody.
No.
Again, I would love to. That's something to bring up too. Again, that's for another show. But I really talk about Matrix and how people are kind of. Some people are fluffing those up a little bit lately. I've seen a trend of that. But the one thing I would like to say about this, and we didn't really get into it, and I've got some tips that I want to kind of add in. I don't know when we'll be able to get back to that.
Right.
But it's so I guess. Just for Scott, that's for another show also. But think of this as potentially your legacy. This may be the one and only time you get a chance to have a virtual. I mean, you may have some from back in the day. I wasn't around long enough to have that, but this is I got one. You got one. This is maybe the only one I ever get. So I guarantee you that I want to make this the best cache I've ever put out. And if something happens to me, and for some reason I don't like geocache anymore, I don't know what that would be. If I disappear in the mountains somewhere or something, I want to keep that virtual going for a while, right? I don't want to base it on a side. I don't want to base it on something that could move. And we talked about this on a previous show, but I just found one of the recent virtuals, and along these ideas, somebody talked about they had. We hiked up a mountain. It was at a shrine. That's already a good place for a virtual because it's important to a lot of people, right? It's significant to take you there, and we wouldn't have known about it except for the virtual. But what they did was they set up a Gmail account for the answers, which is great. It was like, answer1.answer2@gmail.com, and it gave them an automatic reply that told them they got it right.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. That's a great idea.
That virtual lasts forever. That's genius.
It is genius.
It'll never
a bunch of autoresponders,
Yeah, because the response is like, there you go. So, I'm not saying that one idea, but I'm saying take something that'll last for a long time because, yes, you can do it anywhere in the world. You can do it on vacation just like you can on Earth caches. But what if you can't get back to that place Think that through, right? Like, hey, I went to Antarctica one time, so I'm putting a virtual there. I love that idea, but what if something changes? You probably won't be able to get back down there. So think through the legacy of what this cache could mean for you, and geocaching, what you can give back to the community, and really put some thought into this. And the last thing I'll say is, if you've got one and you're struggling, shoot us an email. Anybody in the network, we will absolutely have conversations. We will help you walk through that. I did that with the previous round with some people locally that got some.
Right.
I helped them work through it, get permissions, everything else. Don't waste it just because you don't like to talk to somebody and get permission. We have people that can absolutely help. We want to see good, positive additions to the community out there. So use the network. We can absolutely help you out with that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Good. You guys done great. I appreciate letting some of us who didn't get one get to participate. Chat room, you guys were great, bringing up some good ideas and good thoughts. So a couple upcoming shows. Next week we're going to do a show about Cache Tour again. We're doing another show about CacheTour.no. I have been using the heck out of CacheTour.no, and the folks that do Cache Tour are some of the greatest caching app folks in the world. They listen to the show. They are very responding to people who use it. I'm going to push heavily that you give them a couple $, please, just show and use the app. I mean, it's an incredible app, and I'm going to tell you next week, and Jesse and I are going to tell you next week why we think that it's an incredible app. I mean, like I said, I've used CacheTour.no. Going to use it this coming week. I planned out 4 days of Texas county challenges using that app and being able to tell how far I need to go to get counties and how long it's going to take me, because Cache Tour will get you the information that you need to do that. So really excited about using that. And in 2 weeks, we're going to do a show called about going caching. Some of y'all have heard about that. That's something that I think some of you guys are going to.
We'll have Geocache Talk. We'll have representation there.
We will. And something that'll be fun on that show as well. We got another announcement. We got a lot of announcements lately, Jesse, but
it's almost too much stuff. It's making my head spin. So many cool things happening.
Yeah, we got another announcement on top of all the other announcements we've been doing lately. So the show's really doing great. In our opinion, it's gangbusters, and we've got another announcement we're going to give in 2 weeks during Going Caching. We're going to have the Waysiders on for that show. They were on last year, and we talked about that. It was a lot of fun. They want to get on early. They wanted to get on early before we got too close to the date for Going Caching. So that's why they're on as early as they are. Something they really wanted is to be on a bit earlier. And so we're more than willing to accommodate and to talk about that mega coming up in Rome, Georgia. And really excited. I wish I could be there this year. I don't think I can pull it off. I do have a wedding that I'm planning to get to. So Jesse's showing some of Hawaii, by the way. That's awesome. I'm glad you're showing it off. In fact, let me get you soloed out there, buddy.
Oh my gosh, look at that!
Isn't that awesome?
Woo! The beach is right there, so we're almost on the beach.
Yeah, you're pretty close, man. But that's
close enough. It's right there. I can see it.
It's gorgeous. Yeah. In case people are asking, I think it's 5 hours different from me to him in Central Time. So. Is that true? It's at 4:23 p.m. there?
It is 4:23 p.m. here, yes.
Yep. So that gives you an idea. All right. And then finally, last one I want to mention is in 3 weeks, show 158. We're going to have Emily. Emily Renee is her caching name. Emily Dinsmore McConaughey. She's going to be on the show, and she has done a cache in all 50 states. And so I thought that'd be fun to talk to her and find out how that went. She recently completed that. And so it'll be fun. Be fun to talk to her about finding a cache in every state and get some ideas, tips, and for everybody. Oh yeah, interesting point here. It was brought up. If you're gonna be in Seattle for Going Ape, you can meet the Cache Tour folks there at an event. Have a brew with the Cache Tour crew. Oh, I like that. Very cool.
Yeah. I think I'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Make a note of that one. GC 89. I'm going to cheat. Query, terrain, kayak.
There you go.
Query, terrain, kayak. So, yep, definitely. So we're looking forward to talking about that in a couple weeks. So, all right. Well, send us your comments, geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, facebook.com/geocache talk. Show Can Be Found, iTunes, Stitcher. Radio Public, just going to throw this out to you. If you don't really care which one you do, yeah, and Jeff's pointing to the right location there for the subscribe button. No, you can't. You and I can't do it, Jesse.
I can't. I tried.
No. Well, actually, I think I can if I do this. I can point to this corner. But when there's three of us, I can't because I'm on the wrong side. Jeff's in the right spot at that point. So anyway, yeah, thumbs up. Thank you, Scott, for the thumbs up for the show. It means a lot to us. And if you're, what I was going to say was, if you don't really care which audio podcast you use, we would suggest Radio Public, because if you just listen to us on Radio Public, they do put a little money in a very little money. But if everybody listens to it on Radio Public, if we get to a certain point, they'll send us a check. But we have to get $25, and we're like at $1. So we're not. So if you, and I like Radio Public. You listen to a tiny commercial. It's even smaller than our usual commercials. But anyway, use whatever one you want to use for that. But we just appreciate you listening to the show, and that is it. So until next week, don't just talk about geocaching. Go find a virtual, or go hide a virtual. And UDAC wants some of your pizza, Jeff. So there you go. All right. Good night, everybody.